Alright guys, this is my second video for the day. Welcome back to the Carnal Conservative. We're going to talk about the kerfuffle with TPUSA, Turning Point USA, and the porn star known as Brandi Love. She was kicked out of the TPUSA event because she's a porn star. And there are a lot of details that are missing and that are shady. We don't know if she bought a VIP ticket and she was slated to speak there as an actual VIP, or if the VIP ticket was more or less of a title that anyone could have bought. I'm semi-politically active. I look into what it would cost to go to these events, and buying a VIP ticket is pretty commonplace. Being able to buy as a lay person a VIP ticket to a political fundraiser or event or activity is common. Anyone can do it. If granted you want to shell out the money to do it. Now, I actually support this. I'm actually extremely ecstatic that the religious right are finally gatekeeping. They're finally putting their foot down on what is and is not conservative. Now, the story with Brandi Love is not that she used to be a porn star. It's not that she's against pornography. It's not that she's a recovered actress in that industry. No, she's current. She is in the system, and it's hilarious because I was listening to the Lotus Eaters, Sargon's platform, and they were going on about how Brandi Love only went into porn after her children had left the roost, and it was just her and her husband. They decided to make a little money. Her husband had started filming her at first, and then they started letting other actors in. I'm like, okay, look, you cannot call yourself a conservative woman and participate in what right activists call essentially cuckery. You cannot call yourself a conservative and make your husband a cuck. That's not how this works. You're kind of throwing a wrench in what it means to be a conservative, and I'm really sick and tired of people who want to subvert what it means to be conservative. Being a porn star, not conservative in any way, shape, or form. You are not conserving any of the sacred aspects of society that we want to maintain. And it ultimately came down to, not only did Daily Wire and TPUSA expel Brandi Love, but then Brandi Love and a bunch of lolberts, these libertarian constitutionalists, I find that extremely ironic, by the way, and we'll get into that in a little bit, who wanted to ban TPUSA for gatekeeping or cancel culture. And no, you cannot walk into a conservative venue, Turning Point USA, and say, well, I'm a conservative too, as an active porn star who is cucking her husband. That doesn't fly. It goes against everything that these people are trying to fight for. What, you want me to believe that we can accept porn stars and yet look the left seriously in the face when trying to fight against Drag Queen Story Hour? Get fucked. That's not good. No. No, absolutely the fuck not. And it's amazing to me how people can look at the let me backtrack. This is amazing to me because the last time the right actually engaged in gatekeeping was back in the 60s and 70s, when the David A. Frenches of the world completely expelled from the conservative movement all of the radical anti-communists. All of the Pat Buchanans were expunged. The John Birch Society was expunged from the conservative movement for being radical white nationalists, for being and none of it was true. None of it was true. But the David A. Frenches of the world, the people who are now in charge of the Lincoln Project, part of National Review, the Never Trumpers, those people were the people who started to gatekeep the Republican Party and have caused this initial subversion of conservative values to the left in the first place. So maybe we need to take a note from history and go back and right that wrong. We need to go back and correct that wrong and overcorrect that wrong, because it is not enough to simply say, to be one of the conservatives who just want to stand in front of the society and say, no, stop. That's not enough. It's not enough to simply say stop anymore. We need to not only say stop, we need to say, you know what? We're not going to stop. We're going to go back to this agenda, to this policy point. We don't want funding single motherhood anymore. We don't want to promote and allow men to have fathers without to have children outside of wedlock without consequences anymore. We want to have a society that actually functions and reflects the power and virtue of the family. We want people to actually enforce Christian morality, the morality that we've lost, the morality that has caused the ills that we are suffering from. Well, why do you think immigration is such a big deal? Immigration is a big deal because it means that they can import cheap labor. That's been the whole establishment scheme from the top, from like 20 years ago. This isn't a fucking secret. And the egg-headed foolishness that decides that the economic realities and the social ills that we're suffering from are somehow completely divorced from one another is bullshit. I have to make my listeners and viewers understand this. The separation that you think exists between your economic ills and your social ills is bullshit. Social conservatism creates economic libertarian paradigms where people actually have, a decent rising wage with the GDP. You're not going to... They're not separate issues. Every social conservative issue that we have backed off on has had an economic effect on us in 20 to 30 years. Make no mistake about that. And this short-sighted libertarian bullshit talking point that, well, my GDP, the open borders, all this, it's nonsense. Stop it. You are hurting your country. And the only way to heal those wounds is to return to a Christian morality, whether you want to hear that or not. So I'm going to side with the Daily Wire. I'm going to side with TPUSA. I'm going to side with Christian activists enforcing conservative Christian morality on this nation, because if we don't do it, if we don't get the family straightened out, we're going to be perpetually fucked no matter who's in power. If we let shit like porn stars be accepted in the conservative power, in the conservative party, we are going to be perpetually fucked every generation, every decade from here till kingdom come. It's a... I think I actually need to say these words. I have a dream. I have a fucking dream. And in this dream, it's not that we won't be judged by the, color of our skin, although I hope that that's still part of the deal. But I have a dream that we build a society that promotes and encourages young people to have the means and the ability to fall in love and marry. Young people. Now, when I say young people, I literally mean like 18, 19, 20. I want it to be normalized for people that age of the opposite sexes to get together and have children. And the reason why that vision is so important, why it's so important for people that young to en masse get married and have children, is because these are the people who are going to stand in line at the DMV and all together look around and say, this is bullshit, and we're actually young enough to take on the system. We are young enough to look at what's actually wrong with this world and fix it. This whole system where we wait until people are married in their late 20s, early 30s, jaded and broken by this system, is untenable. It's why nothing ever changes. It's why we're not getting better. Get two young idiots trying to make it work, married and into real life at that young age, and having children and something worthy to fight for. That will put your country in such a way that it will actually change for the better across the board. Look, I can come together with the left on many issues. We need prison reform. And I could give them prison reform. With the power and the numbers that we have as a populist movement, we could give them prison reform. But I'm not going to give it to them. Fuck them. I'm not going to give them the power of saying, oh yeah, let's come together on prison reform. I'm not going to do it. And the reason why I'm not going to do it is because until we fix these social ills that prevent that vision from happening, we will lack the power in numbers and populism to actually not not have whatever we dream up subverted to fuck us later in the ass 10 to 20 years down the line. You have to understand that without that vision in place, without that popular power in place by the people, everything that you and I try to do to improve this current system that we're in is going to get reamed in the legislative process. It's going to get reamed in the courts. We need actual grassroots people from the ground up to make this country work again. That's what it's going to take. And one of the steps to getting there, to actually having a society where young people are encouraged to marry early in life and to stay together and to have children, that requires a Christian morality. There's no other force to get it done. There's no secularist way to make that happen. You can try and prove me wrong, but I don't see it happening anywhere else. I don't see it working anywhere else. I don't see a vacuum of Christian morality manifesting a good enough result. But hey, again, I'm open to be proven wrong. Leave your thoughts in the comments section. But that's where I'm at on this issue. Conservatives need to gatekeep, and they need to gatekeep until they get a true conservative movement to fix this nation and to do everything that we can to right the wrongs of the past. And look, the previous gatekeeping campaign was to root out the anti-communists. We need them back in. Not only do we need them back in, they need to come back in with a strong understanding of who they are and what they're fighting for. And the only paradigm that I see working for that vision is Christian morality. And anyone telling you otherwise is just cope. It's just cope. We have the answer right in front of us, and we need to fucking use it without apology. That's it, guys. Stay carnal and God bless.